party.
Okay.
That's cute.
Yeah. Hello, it's Maddie.
And it's Grace. Hello, everybody.
Hope you guys
Welcome.
are having a good day today.
Yeah.
We just wanted to say thank you for listening to our last episode and for this one and for all of your support. It's been so fun getting to hear all of your guys' feedback and comments and stuff. It's been really nice.
Yeah, it's been a joy. I remember when we posted our first episode, I was extremely excited. I was bouncing off the walls. But yeah, I'm really happy that we finally created this podcast and that we're recording our second episode today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be able to come back and listen to what we first recorded and then, I don't know, just keep going. I like it. I like recording our journey together. I think it's really fun.
Me too.
And I like the dynamic we have. You know, I like being able to research these things with you and learn more about you and each other and our journey and everything. Yeah, I think it's really fun.
Yeah, me too.
Feels comforting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But anyways, getting back to today's episode, today we wanted to talk about what inspired our interest in marriage and family therapy and some of the other paths that we've looked at and sometimes are still considering, you know?
Yeah.
I know that you've gotten into the MFT program for Chico State, so that's it's pretty set track.
Yeah.
But as somebody who's still applying to programs and whatnot, I'm planning on going the MFT route. But I've also looked into some other routes too that we wanted to talk about. So today we'll be going over what an MFT is, what an LPCC is, and an LCSW, which is a whole bunch of alphabet soup.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Before we talk about that, we are also just going to again talk about what influenced our decision to choose the MFT route. More specifically, our educational stuff that we've gone through, what's inspired us based off of that, personal stuff in our life. So yeah, that should be interesting. I feel like it's still almost like an introductory episode in that way, where we're still explaining to you all, the audience, who we are and why we're doing this. And then at the end, it'll be some little facts and things about these different licenses.
Yeah, I feel like with therapy, it's you really have to kind of give the emotional context of why you go this route because it's such the job takes such an emotional toll on you. You kind of have to explain the background for the different ones, you know, for the different licenses that you go after.
Yeah, and there definitely are some differences. Eventually, we'd both I know I'd like to talk about how we both have researched grad schools, which licenses we thought were best. I mean, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but go in more detail about those things.
Yeah. So I can start it off if you want me to.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so for me, I've been pretty confident for a long time that I've wanted to become a therapist ever since I first was in high school. I think it was around my sophomore or junior year when I had some family stuff come up that led me to look a little bit more inward and kind of learn to find some calm in the storms. And that led me to kind of learn more about Buddhism and Stoicism from my parents, who are both big believers in life is suffering and that's okay. And it's important to find joy in suffering. You know, and not everything in life is suffering, but a lot of stuff is hard. Life is hard. Yeah. And it's important to find the good in that and to make peace with that so you can get through things easier. Yeah. So that led me to my interest in psychology, which led me to taking an AP Psych class, and I just devoured that. I just absolutely ate that shit up. I was like, this is awesome.
You still devour that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's your jam.
I'm a real nerd about it. I think it's so interesting why we do the things we do. Yeah. You know, and to see what all makes up a person. You know, all of the environmental, the biological, all of the everything that makes up who we are and makes up our world. I think it's just so interesting.
Yeah.
So from AP Psych, that really solidified me on wanting to go into psychology at least. And I was thinking that I would become a therapist because I had my own experiences in therapy that was really beneficial and really just really awesome. It felt really good to have that help and that support. And so I knew that I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll become a therapist. Maybe I'll do like a mental health coach. Maybe I'll do something like that. Motivational speaker was on there at one point. I know. A whole bunch of things. But I just knew that I liked people and I wanted to work with people in some capacity. So that led me to Chico State, where I'm currently pursuing my psychology bachelor's degree, and since then I've also added a minor in sociology, but I had a bunch more minors before that. Before sociology, I was looking at minors in anthropology, philosophy, and career and life planning. All of which are awesome subjects, which I would, if I could be in college for the next like 10 years for free, that would be great, because I want degrees in all of those. I would love to spend some more time learning about those other things, but sociology really has my heart with the behaviors, you know, and the social influences. That really that really takes the cake for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I'm also doing academic advising, so that's another really big influence. That's been a big influence on my want to become a therapist. Is having that one-on-one experience with students and being able to talk about the really hard things, and being able to find a path forward. Like, I think that's a really beautiful thing that we get to do.
Can I ask you a question? So you said motivational speaker was like one of the careers that you were considering. What were the others? Were there others?
Project management. There was project management was a big one. Doing like HR and stuff like that. Literally any like career that was with people or like helping humans. I was like, I could do that. I could totally do that.
Right.
But after looking at all those careers, I'm a very excitable person. Like whenever like a new opportunity presents itself and I'm like just a little bit interested, I'm like, let me make this my entire focus. You know, like let's dive headfirst into this. But then I've always kind of like found a new thing or like found a new passion or found something more interesting, but MFT, the marriage and family therapy, has always just been the most interesting thing to me. It's never not been up there, you know, like I haven't found anything that's beaten it yet.
How old were you when you like realized you wanted to be a therapist? Like around what age? Do you remember?
So I have a journal I found a journal, I think it was 2 years ago from middle school, I was reading through it like 2 years ago, and I remember reading an entry that was I was talking to my friend Sophia at recess earlier, and she was telling me about her psychotherapist, and she was telling me that it could be like a fun job and stuff with like talking to people, and I like talking to people. And that was it. But I was so we've known for a long time.
You made a little connection there.
I made a little connection there. Obviously,
that's awesome.
So it's destiny.
Of course.
It's destiny. This has been chosen for me, and it's great. Wow. But more seriously, I've been pretty set on it since my junior year of high school. So that was around when I was 16 or 17.
Very cool.
Where it was I really want to work with people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
So that's kind of my my past and my present influences. My biggest ones have been school and family. Really just kind of getting to talk to people, getting to observe, looking inward. So that's what's kind of led me to MFT.
I love it.
Yeah. What about you, Grace?
Well, so I come from a family of givers and creatives, and because of that, I think I've been influenced by my family members to be someone who helps others in a creative way, who thinks deeply about things or thinks critically about things. I think my personality has also influenced me, I think.
Yeah.
Just being someone, again, who like wants to help and deeply cares about the people around me. I'm a very empathetic person. But speaking of destiny, when I was in first grade, my first grade teacher really inspired me to also want to become a first grade teacher.
Aww.
And so that's what I thought my destiny was going to be in terms of a career. But I then realized, after working with larger groups of children in college, that was not my passion. I absolutely adore children. I find them super fascinating, especially when it comes to their imaginations and how they socialize and behave and things like that. But I recognize that working with a huge group of individuals was a lot for me, especially children. Very draining for me.
Yeah.
However, of course, therapy is going to be draining in its own way. But I then learned that one-on-one work was more fulfilling for me, working one-on-one with people. And I also realized that learning how to teach the basics, like the 1, 2, 3s, how to read, that kind of thing, was less fulfilling than being able to continue to learn about the world and psychology and myself and other individuals. So I felt it would, again, bring me a lot more fulfillment if I chose something else. So then I decided I wanted to become, I think it was like a professor, a college professor. But then, of course, I chose wanting to become a therapist. But before that, I did get my bachelor's degree in humanities, and I was wanting to potentially become a professor of humanities. Humanities, if you didn't know, is the study of human culture and history through different disciplines. So I took a lot of different classes, ranging from art history classes, history, philosophy, language, religion, which I really enjoyed. The comparative religion classes I took, they were very interesting. So I think because of my bachelor degree in humanities, I have definitely learned a lot about the diversity of people on this planet and cultures on this planet and how beautiful it all is and how to respect each one without being biased.
I think that's what I love so much about sociology.
Yeah,
I think that's what I adore about it.
Yeah, so being able to learn about every human on this planet, and learning the good things and the bad things and the historical things, like, that has always fascinated me. And so I think humanities has played a big role in influencing me to want to work with people in some capacity and learn about people throughout my career, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then I also minored in ethics while I was finishing up my bachelor's degree. Very into moral issues, ethical issues.
I would love to do that. I would love to do a minor.
Yeah,
ethics.
you want to add another minor?
Yeah, I'll add another minor just as I'm finishing up.
Yeah, so ethics was amazing. Yeah, for that, I did a lot of like environmental ethics kind of stuff. But I think ethics has also been a big influence. Just because, like, being a therapist, there's a lot of ethics involved. And you're constantly thinking about values and morals.
Yes.
How to treat your clients well. What the client's morals and values are. Like,
yeah. How
really
your
interesting.
values are being reflected on the client. And,
yeah.
like, making sure that you aren't compromising their beliefs or, like, intruding, you know? And if you are, like, stepping out and being like, yeah, no, tell me your perspective. Like, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings. I'm sorry for stepping those boundaries.
Yeah. I feel like I've always been pretty open to hearing other people's different beliefs. But yeah, I do think that's something that I should probably work on a bit in grad school too.
Yeah, I think that I love talking to you about things. I love the way that you are able to, like, I don't know, take into, like, consideration a person's, like, full, like, understanding, like, everything that goes into somebody's belief, if it's different than yours, you know, and to really kind of take a step back and see see and understand and validate why that person is feeling that way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so ethics. I did minor in career and life planning for a hot second when I was doing academic advising with Maddie. But then I realized advising wasn't not my thing. So I went from wanting to be a teacher to an advisor, more of like the educational stuff, to then realizing, you know what? It's okay. I do want to become a therapist. This is something that I could do. And I think I was holding back from that idea for a while. On a personal level, I started therapy when I was 19. At that time, I was in community college and still doing humanities. So at that point, I was still like thinking about being a teacher. But then I realized like how amazing therapy was for me. I feel like I tend to do this thing where whichever mentor I have, I kind of mirror whatever they're doing at the time. So like my first grade teacher wanted to become a first grade teacher, my therapist, you know. So yeah. What else can I say? So now like Maddie said at the beginning of this episode, I'm starting the Marriage and Family Therapy graduate program at Chico State in a few weeks, which is really exciting. And yeah, I think currently I'm just influenced by, you know, my personal daily life struggles, discoveries, and desire to help those similar to me. I recently discovered that I'm neurodivergent, and so that has been a big kind of identity awakening or shift that I've gone through that has made me realize that, yeah, this is something I want to do to be able to help people in general who struggle on a daily basis or who maybe feel different in some way or need extra support, extra emotional support. So yeah, I have a lot of emotions. I feel deeply about things. Yeah. So I think I'd connect with other people who are feeling deeply about things.
Yeah. I relate to. We have a lot of similarities in our paths, you know. Yeah. About the way that we view our future career. I'm so excited for you and for us.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think something that I also didn't mention is that, you know, thinking about all of the different career opportunities when it comes to working with other humans or learning more about other humans is like maybe like working in HR or working as a teacher. There's less heart there sometimes. Like it's more, you're thinking more rationally about things. Maybe you're not talking about emotions as much sometimes.
It's not the focus. It's not your job to do those types of things.
But then in like the therapy field,
right?
It's like that's all you talk about sometimes. Is emotions, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, same. And when you were talking about your experience with academic advising, I was like, oh my god, yeah, you get it. Because I absolutely love my job in academic advising. I love being able to work with students, but I love working with the students that I have a personal relationship with, or like the students that come back.
Yeah, and you have some of those. Yeah.
I do. I have right now. I have 2 or 3 lovely people that I've been working with, that I've had the pleasure of working with for the last year or so. And oh my god, I love talking to them, and I love seeing their academic journeys. And I love meeting with just like students, you know, that are coming in and out for drop-ins. But I really do wish that I could make deeper connections. Because you want to do that in those sessions, but sometimes it's not appropriate, or it's not what that person's looking for, you know? So it's like, it's a fantastic job. But I want to get deeper I want to explore more, and I want to have those
Yeah.
long-lasting relationships. That's why I was like, one of my other career paths, like when I started academic advising, I was like, I could be an academic advisor.
Yeah, same.
And I think if I was an academic advisor, like as a staff, then that would be more fulfilling, because I'd be able to have those like special contract students, like the students that I work with, like every couple months, or like once a month. Like I feel like that would be more fulfilling, but not as fulfilling as having a client roster that you meet with.
I agree. Yeah.
But the drop-in advising can be hard sometimes. It can be kind of, it can be, I don't know if draining is the right word, but I don't know, just, I would love to spend more time with students.
Yeah.
Consistently. I would love to make more personal connections.
Yeah.
Consistently.
I think something I'm excited about when it comes to becoming a therapist is, sitting down with hopefully the same client or clients and learning about their stories, where they come from.
Can we talk about, just for a second, the therapeutic relationship?
Sure.
Oh my god, because this is basically what we're talking about right now. If you guys don't know what the therapeutic relationship is, or the therapeutic alliance, it's basically the principle that when a person enters therapy, the most important catalyst for change is going to be having a secure, healthy, and challenging relationship with the therapist. And that's kind of the foundation for marriage and family therapy, is working on interpersonal relationships. And that starts with your relationship with your therapist, and having a friend, somebody who's consistent, somebody who you rely on for emotional validation, all that stuff, but also somebody who challenges you, challenges your thoughts and opinions and everything. And that's what you get in therapy, is you work on those therapeutic alliances, those therapeutic relationships, and that's where the change happens. And unfortunately, outside of the therapeutic context, like in academic advising or in a professorship or mentorship or motivational speaking, you get to have the conversations about mental health and all of that, but you don't get to establish that relationship, that therapeutic relationship, that catalyst for change. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I think
I'm such a nerd about it.
And I love that so much. I love that you shared the definition, gave us some facts. Maddie facts, okay?
Yeah, Maddie facts.
This is awesome. And I'm learning a lot from you, because you do know a lot.
Yeah, we both know a lot. I know that I learned so much from you, and we both have so much to bring to the table for this podcast, and some
thanks.
Yeah, it's so good, it's so great. But yeah, do we want to get back to the point? So the main focus of this episode is supposed to be talking about marriage and family therapists, licensed professional counselors, and licensed social workers, and kind of the differences are.
Yeah.
So I just kind of started us out with talking about the licensed marriage and family therapists, and how the focus is on interpersonal relationships. So when somebody goes to go see a marriage and family therapist, what the therapist is looking to learn is about the client's needs, wants, what's going on in their life, what are the challenges, but they're also looking at what is the context of this person's life. So what is their family relationships like? How many friends do they have? Or how connected to their friends or social circles are they? How connected to the community are they? They're looking for these interpersonal relationship dynamics, and in therapy, they're going to be looking to kind of point out how improving these relationships could be beneficial. They're not going to be outright saying that stuff, but they will be kind of checking you and kind of being when you're talking about your day and whatnot, if you just if you have a friend who's you're in a conflict with, they're going to be talking to you about how can we resolve this conflict? Has this conflict kind of been persistent? Is this a pattern? Is this conflict a pattern in your other relationships? Are you the cause of that pattern? why are you the cause of that pattern? What's
Yeah.
going on? You know, like, that's kind of what you're getting out of marriage and family therapy. And marriage and family therapists can also diagnose, like, mental health issues and do
Yes.
that, like, the cognitive behavioral therapy. So, like, the worksheets and doing, like, that, like, talk therapy. So there's a lot of stuff marriage and family therapists can do, but they mostly focus on, like, the interpersonal relationships, like, what's going on in their life.
Yeah. It makes it very fascinating.
Yeah, it's so interesting. That's why I like the sociology and the marriage and family therapy. It's the social. Love it.
Right? Okay, the next license that we're going to talk about real quick, it's the licensed professional clinical counselor. So this is quite similar to the marriage and family therapy license, except it's in an LPCC program, it's not so much focused on relationships is what we researched, but it's more about an individual patient's needs. LPCCs can still provide psychotherapy, of course. They can diagnose specific mental health issues. So I feel like it's very similar. It's just maybe the relational aspect isn't there.
It's not the focus.
It's not the focus.
I don't think that licensed professional clinical counselors can take out the relational aspects,
right?
Like when talking when talking to clients,
right?
But I do think I think the difference between those two are that they're going to be more focusing on like maybe the CBT, like the cognitive behavioral therapy with like the worksheets and like working on like a person's like anxieties, fears, or like struggles with like addiction and stuff that's kind of more personal, I guess, like personal like cognitive distortions rather than relational dynamics.
Yeah, I think going back to the LMFT license as well, I know some people get confused because the title is marriage and family therapy. So some people think, oh, are you just going to be a marriage counselor? Are you going to be helping families? Which, yes, we're going to be trained to do that. It's, again, very relational. But then we can also work with individuals, things like that. And same with the LPCC, I'm assuming, being a licensed clinical counselor. Yeah,
like I'm sure a licensed... I'm assuming that a licensed like clinical counselor could, if they're like meeting with like a teenager and stuff, like they could probably bring in their parents and be okay.
Yeah,
and, like, be
I think it's pretty similar. I was thinking that in the description of this episode we could link some research. Definitely the sources that we are using for this podcast, along with a video that I watched a while back when I was researching myself. Maybe that would help.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because we have all of our links that on our outline for this. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the licensed professional clinical counselor. The next one is going to be a licensed social worker, the LCSW. And that's focusing on helping people achieve like social adjustments, like connecting individuals with resources, like housing resources, financial assistance, or working within like the social justice like system and stuff like that. So it's going to be more about resources, less on therapy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So licensed social workers can conduct therapy. They are like great therapists. But in their training, it's more focused on how can we connect individuals with resources that will help them get into better situations, that will alleviate stress and distress, you know?
Yeah.
So the focus is less mushy-gushy.
Yeah, I think within that too, the MFTs, like, we're focusing more on relational stuff, and then social workers are thinking more about systemic issues and social justice, which at the same time is kind of relational.
Right.
Everything's relational in a way. We all just have a different approach to helping others, which I think every approach is needed. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great way to
It's
explain it.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like a licensed social worker is going to be really effective in finding resources for a client that's going through like a housing crisis or like stuff like that, or like domestic violence and stuff like that. Like getting connected with resources to get them out of like situations, or even with like addiction and stuff like that. Like they're going to be really effective in getting resources for that person.
Yes.
Where a marriage and family therapist would have resources for that person, but it's not going to be, they might not have as many resources or stay as up to date because that's not their focus. But they could always get them connected with a licensed social worker or something.
Yeah.
So it's all similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the next little thing that we wanted to share was kind of the process for the three licensing, because they are so similar.
Yeah.
So we took a look at the Board of Behavioral and Social Sciences for California. Nerds. And wanted to share the license requirements. So all of them are pretty similar. The first step is to obtain a bachelor's and a master's degree from an accredited college, which you can find on the BBS pages for each one of the licenses. For the LCSWs, you will need a master's degree in social work specifically. And some of those master's degrees in social work require a bachelor's in social work. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next step?
Yeah, the next step is to register as an associate for your licensure. And then you will need a fingerprint / criminal background check. And then you will need to take and pass the California Law and Ethics exam.
And that's for all three licenses, by the way.
So every license, it seems like there are definitely some similarities when it comes to the process of achieving those licenses. Then you will accumulate supervised experience in hours, and for each license, you will need 3,000 supervised hours over a 104-week minimum time frame.
Yeah,
lots of hours.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah.
I love, it's so interesting how they even have, like, you have to spread it out over a 104-week time frame.
That is interesting, yeah.
Right? I really like that. Like,
just
at
so
first
you
I was
can grow and change a little bit.
Yeah, at first I was kind of, like, uncomfortable about that, because I was like, what if I just want to get it done? You know?
What if I just get it done in a week?
But I think it's really awesome that they slow you down, and then you take real time to grow and process and all of that, and get that feedback.
That's what therapy is about. So they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. But when you got speedsters like me, who I'm like, let's get it step.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, good reminder. And then the second to last one step is to take and pass the licensure exam for example, the licensed marriage and family therapy clinical exam. So each license has its own licensure exam. That you need to take. And then last step is to apply for your license.
Yeah, and I believe you have to pay for that.
You do.
Do you have to pay for the exams as well?
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know how much it costs, but
yeah,
we'll leave the links for you to check.
Yeah. I'm sure it kind of differs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are some of the similarities and differences. I really like what you said about how all of the licenses are pretty similar except for their approach, to the clients.
Yeah. And we could talk more about that too. One thing that we also wanted to talk about in this little episode here, kind of our closing topic, is why we each chose the marriage and family therapy route specifically compared to the other two, since we both live in California.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting too, because later on in the podcast we might get into this, but like where you get your master's degree and like where you get accredited and everything doesn't always transfer over to other states.
No.
So California's kind of interesting because the CSU system has a WASC accreditation for most of the schools, WASC, and they are approved for California, some countries in Africa, and Hawaii, and that's
What?
it.
What?
Yeah. So we can talk about that more later.
That's fascinating.
But it's also one of the most difficult states to get licensed in.
California?
So, yes.
Yeah.
So even if you are going to a school with a WASC accreditation, it still is, you're very likely to be able to pass on your license to other states with approval.
Interesting.
I know, it's so weird. It's so weird. So that's something that came into my influence of choosing the marriage and family therapy route. I was nervous about that, about going to school, and then maybe going to a school where it doesn't transfer over to a bunch of other states. So that's important. If you guys are looking to get licensed, that's something to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's a way where you can not transfer over your license. I think you have to take another test or another exam within a different state.
I believe so.
My therapist said it's becoming easier to do so for MFTs, but still, I think it's been challenging.
Yeah, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
But California's awesome, so.
Yeah.
So we'll be good.
Yeah. Do you want me to start on this little section?
Go for it.
Okay. So, my reason for wanting to specifically do the MFT route, I think for me, I have not done as much research and nerding out as Maddie has in the past. I know, Maddie, you said you wanted to become a therapist when you were 14?
Yeah, 15, 16.
Okay, 15, 16. For me, I think I wanted to become a therapist when I was 21, 22. So I haven't had as much time to really ponder these things as I did when I wanted to become an elementary school teacher. I did a lot more research for that. But yeah, my own therapist was a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I love her. She's amazing. She truly helped me out. And so she was a great example. I loved the techniques that she used in our therapy sessions. Lots of beautiful metaphors and active listening, things like that. And then I did also really appreciate talking about the relational aspects of me as a human and how I've been influenced by others and impacted by others. So that was one of those influences. I then created a graduate school research spreadsheet on Google. It was very organized. And what I did for grad school is I looked up all of the California State University websites that had a counseling master's degree of some kind. I knew that I didn't want to do social work because I had already looked at those programs and realized that they weren't similar to MFT or LPCC programs at all in terms of them being less focused on the the hands-on experience, practicum type stuff. Although I think in social work programs you still can do a practicum. It might just not be as long, or maybe you wouldn't be.
Looks different.
You wouldn't be taught as many maybe theories, psychological theories and things like that, which I find really fascinating. So I made a spreadsheet, looked at all of the different MFT and PCC programs in California, and I landed on my alma mater, Chico State, because it's not expensive. It's quite cheap there compared to other CSUs. And also, I love this community. I love this town. I didn't want to give it up quite yet. So what else can I say here? So I think that's all I have to say about that. Maddie?
Yeah. So, again, we're very similar people because I also made a spreadsheet. I also had a big, long spreadsheet with all of my colleges and everything.
What's your zodiac sign?
Scorpio. Yeah, water sign.
Yeah, mine's Capricorn.
Nice. I wonder if... I have no idea. I don't really know what that makes us, but we're pretty solid. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I also made a spreadsheet looking into the marriage and family therapy programs and stuff. I love my data collection. I do.
Same.
I love
it makes me feel better.
Yes, I feel much more confident. I'm okay, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. but in my route to choosing the marriage and family therapy, I did do a lot of research. I was very, very fortunate growing up to have my two wonderful parents that learned a lot of life lessons throughout their lives, and really kind of set me up for success in high school and everything, and made me really excited about life. They made me really excited about a future job and career, and getting passionate about things, and
That's
kind
awesome.
of really encouraging me to not see it as this really overwhelming process of finding a job, which it can be really overwhelming doing this research and everything, but to see it more as you're setting yourself up for what you want to do, and the more you know, it's so exciting.
Totally.
So I did a lot of research into the three things, not as much into the LPCCs, but mostly into social work and marriage and family therapy. And I really landed on marriage and family therapy because of the family dynamics and the relational dynamics of the theories that go into it. I found this this website run by a group of marriage and family therapists that explained the top 15 theories in marriage and family therapy that people use, and I found this in high school, and I watched all their videos and stuff, and it was talking about the Bowen Family Systems family therapy and stuff, and a couple other ones like that, and I just remember being so fascinated about how family dynamics really impact the growth of a child, and their development, and feeling secure and ready to go out into the world, and then how looking at your family when you're an adult and going back to that your family and everything is so impactful. I just think relationships are really interesting. And I think that I would love to really put a big focus on that in my future career.
That's awesome.
Because my family's done a lot for me, and I really love them a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so...
Yeah, can I say something else?
Yeah.
Something I forgot to mention, too, is when I was applying to grad school, and I only applied to Chico State. And got in, which is crazy. But when I applied, I was pretty nervous about not getting in, and I was okay with that. But if I didn't get in, I had talked to a couple different people who are social workers who were really hyping up the social work program at Chico State. And I heard a lot of great things about it. So I think in that way, I definitely could have pursued a social work degree potentially. But I think it would be really interesting to interview different therapists from different backgrounds, specifically which license they got. I know I know, I don't know, I feel like we know a couple people. Yeah, so that would be fascinating to kind of talk to different therapists about what their grad program was like in terms of what they learned, and what they might have done differently, how it's influenced them now.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
It'd be really cool. But so that's where I'm kind of at. I'm looking at, as I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree, I'm starting to work on applications for grad school. And I love your baller move of just applying to Chico State, which was just absolutely awesome.
Oh, thanks. Well, it was scary, but
but it was so inspiring to me that you found a program that you were interested in, and then you were like, this is it,
Yeah, I think
we're going this way.
I did choose only one program as well because I wanted to take a gap year.
Right.
It was okay if I didn't get in.
Yes.
And I know that's your plan C, is a gap year.
Yeah, we got my plan A, B, and C. My grad school 1, grad school 2, and my gap year.
Yeah.
My top 2 schools I'm looking at right now are Chico State and Sonoma State. I'm very excited about them. I think either one of those programs would be absolutely amazing to be a part of.
Yeah.
And I just love the focus on growth within the therapist in both of these programs, where I can't wait to learn more about your program once you enter it, because it sounds like, from what I've learned about the Chico State Marriage and Family Therapy program, that there's a real emphasis on personal development, personal growth, and reflection through the program, which is just so beautiful.
Yes. I heard that it's like going to therapy 5 days a week.
Yeah, I want that. Come on. Yeah, I want that.
Gotta get all the tissues ready.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I really love that human aspect. It's very kind program.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. But yeah, do you have anything else?
Well, I think that's it. We definitely want to leave room to explore still, talk about all of these different paths, be open to different ways of getting to where we want to be. I'm really excited to support you this year and potentially helping you and, with your applications and I'm excited.
I love that.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I love this episode. This was so fun. I got to hear a lot of fun facts about, and you guys got to hear about it too. A lot of fun facts about the different licenses and. Yeah, what should we talk about next? I don't know. There's so much.
We've got so much to talk about. It's so fun.
Yeah.
This is just the most fun thing. I'm such a nerd. I'm like, I've done all this research and stuff. I got all this stuff up in my brain. I'm like, let's get it out.
Yeah. I think potentially our next episode might be a little book club. Maybe. A little book club, Maddie's book club.
Love it.
So stay tuned for that. And then I don't think there's a way for people to leave comments. However, you can rate us, give us a 5-star rating if you want, or leave us a little review. And in that review, you can, ask us some questions or ask if we could talk about certain topips. I think we're also hoping to interview grad students as well, or people similar to us who are hoping to be therapists too. So, but it's an exciting and nerve-wracking journey to be on, but
that's life.
I think we'll help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we already do help a lot of people. I feel like you're helping me.
We're helping each other right now. I feel like
this is a wonderful exchange.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like that was one of the reasons why we wanted to initially start recording these podcasts, is because we wanted to connect more with each other and help each other out through this journey and help other people and connect with others, So if you want to connect with us, we do have an email. So if you do want to email us, you can. We'll check it periodically. It's called therappartypod@gmail.com.
Yeah, email us.
For any comments, questions, or concerns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
can't wait to talk more.
So slay. Okay, everybody. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, whoever you are. We really appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks for joining us on our journey.
Woohoo!
Woo! Bye.
Bye.